One of the things that you mentioned when we talked about it was being selective with membership approvals. How do you balance growth and maintain community quality?
Yeah. Well, for good and for bad, for better and for worse, our community is built on Facebook, which is probably not where if I was designing a community today, I would, anchor my boat in those waters, but that's where it is, right? So with that comes a lot of spam and junk and all that kind of stuff. And in the beginning, we'd let everybody who wanted to join. But we started seeing patterns of people that cause problems or were jerks or whatever it may be, right? So we just started getting a little bit more picky and a little bit more picky about who got approved to be in the community. For the past probably 2 years or more, Facebook will give you stats on how many people were approved and how many people were denied. And we stick around 40 to 45% of the people who ask to join get approved. And that's based on we're only able to ask 3 questions. So we try to do the best out of those questions that we're able to ask. And sometimes it's clicking through to their profile, making sure they're a real human being, making sure they're not leaving rude comments on everybody else's profile all the time. So it's a lot of labor. It's not fun. It's probably my least favorite thing to do, honestly. Sometimes I will put it off for weeks at a time, but it's really helped the quality of the group. Now, the group hasn't grown nearly as fast as it could have. If there was, if I was letting 60% of the people that I'm saying no to in the group would be much, much bigger than it is today. But I don't think it would have the same feel and love and all those kinds of things that we have in the community because we've just been so much more careful about who we let in and the kind of atmosphere we create. And really that goes back to a bad customer, a bad community member, a bad fit of any kind is going to cost you way more than you could ever gain from it, right? So if I let the wrong person in the group, that's going to be way more detrimental than having one more person in the group for whatever that metric or number is of how many people are in there. Like those things are just not equal at all. One person can, one apple spoils the bunch. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was always kind of like, how do we keep this quality up and the quality high? And it's been detrimental in how fast the community has grown or not having as big numbers as we possibly could, or even having the potential to sell the products we have now to more people. But for the longevity of the group and for the health of the group and everything, I think it's really important to keep it that way. I definitely don't have any intentions on changing that anytime soon.
There's a lot of value in what you just shared. I think there's some things to unpack in that. First and foremost, one of the things that I loved about it is it goes back to what you were saying. It's a safe space, something where you can go in and you can ask questions. It doesn't matter where you are in your business journey. It's a space where you can go in and you're not necessarily going to get ridiculed. I think that's part of the benefit and the rewards of doing that kind of, I don't want to say policing, but guarding of and protecting of the actual community. I know I can almost liken it to being on the publishing side where there would be brands that wanted to be able to promote and the publisher would say, no, I actually have to protect my subscribers and my audience. I can't just have anybody come through because if you create a bad experience, I'm not just going to lose you as a brand because I didn't get the results that you were expecting. I'm going to lose a lot of people because they're going to say all the things that I loved about it just changed the moment that person came in. Right. And then next thing you know, they're checking less, they're engaging less. They just had a bad experience. And I almost liken it to being something where you go around the block. If you make one wrong turn, it takes 3 times getting it right just to get back to the starting point. So if you think about it, could be 3 times the amount that goes wrong by doing one thing. Just being greedy, chasing a number, be it revenue, a client, whatever it is, these things cost. So you want to think through what you're looking at. And if you see red flags, I think it's important. I think one of the things that you said that I also want to be able to run back is you actually take the time to look at people's profiles. So it's not a numbers game. And that's where people are going to get lost where they say, well, I built a community, but I don't get a lot of engagement. You might have let some people in that weren't supposed to be in there. You also police it in a certain way where if you see someone's being out of pocket, that you'll get rid of them and you'll let people know that they're gone. So there's that extra level of, I don't feel like going back in there because I know that person was in there, and you'll let people know, yeah, that happened and this is the result of it. So that way people can see, oh, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to be that guy. Or now I feel safe about it because that irritated me or that was a bad experience. So there's extra measures in what you're doing. And I think that's really where some of the value comes in.
Yeah. I mean, it is a lot of policing sometimes, I try to, early days, it was much easier to pay attention to every post and every comment in the group because there wasn't that many of them. Now there's a lot more. There's more than I could keep up with every comment every day. But thankfully people have learned the culture of the group. And when something doesn't align with that culture, there's reporting features. They will report that to me and I take care of that pretty quickly. But yeah, we're very quick to escort people out of the group who aren't a good fit. That's led to very uncomfortable situations. A lot of times when you ban somebody from a group, they take it as a personal attack, which may, I guess in a way it kind of is personal, but I've dealt with a lot of angry DMs and emails and all that. I've also had to kick people out of the group that have a big following and a big audience. And that's scary and uncomfortable. But at the same time, if it's not serving my community, there's no win in that for me for keeping them in there. So as long as I can, try to maintain that culture and what we're trying to build here at, above everything else, above profits or numbers or my status with maybe some other community, I think that's kind of the North Star to be striving for. I haven't done it right every time for sure. I make mistakes on that all the time, but just trying to get back to that, make sure that that's the main focus is like, how do we make this community the best it can be? Sometimes that's not what's best for me or me personally or my pocketbook or my prestige or status or number of followers, but that's okay. All those things will work themselves out if we have a really great community, and all those numbers will be hollow if the community is terrible.
Sure.
When you zoom out and look at the big picture, it makes a whole lot of sense, but it can be hard to do that in the fog of war,
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I try to tell people is just be aware of your surrounding circumstances because it's playing a factor in your decision making. So if I know I'm having a bad day, it's probably not going to be the day that I make those kind of decisions. I can have a quick trigger. When my patience runs low, is very, very low. Like I'm quick to the trigger of like, okay, I'm not trying to have this conversation. So if I know that that's where I'm at, then that's not the time for me to do something like that. If I know I'm at a point where I want to be able to grow out that list, I want to make sure that my eagerness to do that isn't opening people up to having bad experiences because they won't remember that person as much as they'll remember you were the one that put them in that spot.